Tywin Lannister dominated the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, taking his house to a position of unprecedented power. If anything, since his death, his influence is being felt even more strongly than before. We're going to look at how and why he became the most powerful man in Westeros, and how his influence still hangs over the Game of Thrones. Hi everyone, this is Robert. Welcome to In Deep Geek, particularly if you're a first-time viewer. Please do consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. Tywin Lannister is, in many ways, a paradox. Everything he does is for the glory and strength of his family name. As he says to Jaime, "Before long I'll be dead, and you and your brother and your sister and all of her children, all of us dead, all of us rotting in the ground. It's the family name that lives on, not your personal glory, not your honour, but family." And yet, for all his focus on the family name, he did a terrible job in raising his own children. Indeed, it's hard to think of a single member of his family that he shows any affection for. Compare this to Olenna Tyrell, for example, who, though equally manipulative and realpolitik in her approach to the game, has a clear love for her family members, particularly her grandchildren, Marjorie and Loras. So how has this come about? Tywin's father, Tytos Lannister, was, by all accounts, a good man. He doted on his son and cared for the people under his protection. He was, however, not a strong leader. He presided over a notable downturn in the Lannister family fortunes. He lost much of their vast wealth, and even his vassals openly flouted his rule. The young Tywin saw all this and drew a simple conclusion. In order to be an effective ruler, you had to be ruthless. He got his chance to put this into action when 2 of his father's vassals rose in rebellion against him. Tywin led the Lannister army against them, crushing them completely, killing the entire family, leaving just the burnt-out husks of their family castles. So great was his merciless destruction of these vassals that it became immortalized in song, the Rains of Castamere. The next time a vassal house dared to challenge him, he simply sent a minstrel with a lute to sing the song to them, reminding them what happened to the Rains. They soon stepped back into line. The message was simple: do not mess with the Lannisters. In one horrific incident, Tywin's reputation had been set across Westeros, and Tywin was content for this to be so. In his mind, he had been proven right that the only way to guide his family to security and prosperity was through relentless, cold-hearted power and manipulation. It is this that drives so much of Tywin's antipathy towards Tyrion. He wants House Lannister to have a strong, serious reputation, and Tyrion's very stature undermines this in his eyes. He knows that people mock and laugh when they see Tyrion walk by, and he considers it a slight on the family name. And of course, he blames Tyrion for the death in childbirth of Joanna, Tywin's wife, and the only person who could make him smile. With her gone, any levity Tywin had also departed, and the anger he felt from his loss was easily vented on Tyrion. There can be no doubt that this shaped Tyrion's worldview, and ultimately turned him into the kind of man who could kill his own father. But it wasn't just Tyrion who was shaped by Tywin's harshness and lack of basic parenting abilities. Jaime and Cersei were left alone in Casterly Rock for years of their childhood, with no parental or authority figure to tell them no. It is little wonder that they should grow up so spoiled and feeling that there are no boundaries for them. Cersei, in particular, suffered from Tywin's patriarchal view of the world. He refused to teach her any of the skills of ruling, believing that a woman's place is as a wife and a mother. He uses her as a tool to further the fortunes of the Lannisters, first trying to force an engagement to Rhaegar, the Targaryen crown prince, then succeeding in marrying her to Robert Baratheon after his successful rebellion. This successfully ties the Lannisters to the throne, ensuring that Tywin's grandchildren become kings. But after Tywin dies, it leaves Cersei with a position of power and authority she is woefully unprepared for. She has seen the way her father eliminated his rivals and copies it in her own brutal way. But she doesn't think for a second about the longer-term implications of her actions, the enemies and the debt she is racking up. For Jaime, it was the opposite problem. His father invested so much into the idea of him succeeding him as Lord of Casterly Rock that Jaime rebelled. He focused on becoming a knight, not a lord, and this allowed Aerys to appoint him to the Kingsguard. Aerys' act here wasn't a kindness, incidentally, although Jaime clearly was an excellent knight. It was done out of paranoia and political calculation. As a member of the Kingsguard, Jaime could not father children or become Lord of Casterly Rock. Aerys had robbed Tywin of the opportunity for his favoured son to inherit Casterly Rock, and he was furious. He quit as Hand of the King over it, and a few years later chose to fight against rather than for Aerys in the Civil War, tipping the balance in favour of Robert Baratheon. Not that Jaime was innocent in all this. Being forbidden to marry worked perfectly for him. He was in love with his sister and didn't want anyone else. Once Robert was king, he could be close to Cersei every day. And none of this is to say that Tywin is evil, per se. He is ruthless and capable of horrendous acts, but unlike Joffrey or Cersei, he seems to take no enjoyment from them, simply seeing them as necessary for the greater good of protecting the family name and honour. Sometimes this means not doing something that would cause harm. When Tyrion challenges him to name the last time he did something solely for the family name, not for his own advantage, Tywin looks him in the eye and says, "The day that you were born. I wanted to carry you into the sea and let the waves carry you away. Instead, I let you live, and I brought you up as my son, because you're a Lannister." Although we shouldn't give Tywin too much credit for simply resisting the urge to kill his newborn son, this shows that at least he isn't cruel or sadistic like his daughter or grandson became. At the start of this video, I talked about the dominating influence of Tywin Lannister over the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. In truth, his influence has shaped almost all of the key events in Westeros over the last few decades. It was he who turned the Lannisters into the richest, most powerful house in the land. He who guided Westeros in an age of peace and prosperity as Hand of the King. He who ordered the sacking of King's Landing and the murder of the Targaryen heirs, opening the way for Robert to take the throne. He who ordered the massacre at the Red Wedding, and he whose daughter and grandchildren sat on the Iron Throne after Robert was gone. His influence continues as the show progresses, for good and ill. Cersei's relentless aggression against her enemies is a learnt behaviour from her father. But so is Tyrion's commitment to win the Game of Thrones first through diplomacy rather than war. The horrors of the Battle of the Bastards are a direct result of Tywin's decision to give Winterfell to the Boltons, and Dorne's willingness to oppose Lannister rule in King's Landing stems from Tywin's ordering of the deaths of Rhaegar Targaryen's children, Oberyn Martell's niece and nephew. As Season 7 looms, Tywin's successes are starting to crumble around his children's ears. His daughter may sit on the throne, but her rule is beset by enemies on all sides, and Tyrion, his most able child, is now set on a course to return the Targaryens to power. The North is back in the hands of the Starks, and the supportive alliance of Tyrells, Boltons and Freys is but a memory. He didn't live to see it, but Tywin's life's work is ending in failure. The great irony of Tywin Lannister's life is that his relentless focus on strengthening the family's name is the very thing that has brought the Lannister family dynasty to the edge of destruction. His ruthless ambition made his children the people they are today. Ultimately, that led not just to his own death, but the end of everything that mattered to him. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you want to see more like this one, please click on the subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, please check out my Patreon page. Thanks again. That's all for this time. I'll see you again real soon.